So welcome and good morning, everyone, to the Alumni Panel of IB Appreciation Month, where our alumni will be discussing how the pandemic has affected their career. I am Ashma Singh, graduate student here at UMSL, majoring in Information Systems and Business Intelligence. And I'm also working as a graduate assistant here at International Business Institute. And I'm also a committee member of the IB Appreciation Month, and I'm very excited and glad to have all of our alumni today for this event. And our attendees will have time to ask questions at the end of this session, so please use the Q&A box at the bottom, and I will be forwarding the questions to our alumni panels. So without any further delay, I would like to introduce our alumni panel. We have Timothy Donovan, Manager of Information Technology and User Experience at Centene, Maddie King-Erger, founder of Chap King Digital Marketing LLC, and Annie Mumbali, Marketing Digital Consultant. So let's give a round of virtual applause to our amazing alumni. So now I will hand it over to Timothy.
Hi everyone. Tim Donovan. Glad to be here. I am again work at Centene Corporation, in user experience IT manager. I'm excited to be here.
Maddie, if you wanna.
Hi, I am Maddie King-Erger. I am a founder of Chap King Digital Marketing. I graduated from UMSL this past year with double degrees in international business and French, and I was last year's project manager of IBCC, and I am so happy to be back here today and share some valuable insight for you all.
Hi, everybody. My name is Annie Mbale. I graduated from UMSL with my master's in marketing, MBA in 2017. Sorry. I'm glad to be back. Actually, I call IBCC, ask Tim and Maddie, they know that, my baby, and it is my baby. I'm excited to be here. I've been with IBCC doing things for IBCC since 2015, and it's been an exciting experience for me since then.
Okay, so to start off this event, we can start off with a couple of questions. So one of the first question is, how have you adapted to working remotely?
Do we go like in order the way you started?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, I'll get us kicked off then. So as far as adapting to kind of the new work from home or the remote work, basically, I was fortunate enough to have worked previously in a remote environment. So whenever our company decided to send our workforce home, I had already kind of had a home setup ready to go, and I was able to transition pretty easily. It was a little interesting that I did not have a webcam whenever I first transitioned back, and I went on Amazon going, oh, I'll get a webcam real quick, and everything sold out. So I was a little shocked when that happened, kind of threw me for a loop, so I had to improvise. But working from home has been good. I had a baby over the pandemic in August, so it's been great to be home with her, be able to take a lunch and go spend time with my baby Emma. So it has had its ups and downs, but I've found that doing video chats has helped quite a bit. Any opportunity that I have to do a video conference like this, or with my teams, I really encourage that they chat on video, because I think it helps bring that personal feel back, since we're not working in the office. So it is definitely helped me quite a bit maintaining that video contact, even though we can't be in-person contact at the office. So
I'll go ahead and start now. So when the pandemic hit last year, I was in the middle of my last semester with my international business studies and planning for IBCC, but I was also working as a marketing specialist at the HJ family of companies. And we did not leave the office. We took a lot of precautions and measures to be able to still come in. It was really important because we had a lot of manufacturing going on. And so it was kind of this mindset of, is it really fair for these factory workers to have to be coming in while the office workers wouldn't be coming in? So it was all over like, let's take precautions so that we can all come in. Nonetheless, I think we felt the effect with our customers, but as a marketing specialist, I'm not necessarily working with the customers. I'm more so creating content and getting out there and strategizing about different plans. However, moving into starting my own digital marketing firm, I love in-person interaction. So, you know, it's kind of difficult, right? Like, especially when you're acquiring new clients, you want to put your face in front of them. You want to give them that human warmth, build that trust, that connection. So I agree that, you know, video, phone, like as much humanness as we can pack into our interactions is the best way to go. And it is what it is. I think social media right now is actually really key for connecting with our colleagues and our clients. You know, showing our personality on there, commenting, whatnot, it builds that warmth and that relationship that we're kind of missing right now.
I have a different story. So I always like when I graduated from UMSL, I worked from home. So it wasn't different for me, you know, like that was the norm for me. But there was a shift in a way that I had to deal with the clients. Maybe my job wise, like creating content I was previously working as the marketing director for Odd Couples Housing. So they pair students and millennials and seniors as roommates. So the most difficult part that when the pandemic hit was when we had to meet with these seniors and millennials, because we had to meet them in person, you know, to know who they are. Even if everything, the platform it's like an online dating platform but for roommates, for seniors and millennials. But for them to actually, you know, become roommate before they even meet each other, we had to meet them. So that was affected a lot. So we had and most seniors don't use social, don't use a lot of online platforms. So it kind of brought the business really, really down. It affected the business a lot. And some students were leaving the country or they were going back home because, school campuses were closing. So that created a lot of chaos per se in that terms. But creating content wise, it didn't affect me that much because I didn't have an office anyway.
So our next question is, how has your industry been affected, and how was it like managing a team virtually?
So at Centene, we were definitely fortunate enough, obviously being a healthcare company, to not be hit as bad from the pandemic and the effects of that. So as I mentioned, we have at the time we had about 70,000 plus employees that were working primarily in the office. So when we shifted our workforce remotely over a few weeks, there were some challenges there, a lot of planning, a lot of overcoming technical difficulties, moving employees in a call center that are used to having a simple setup where they connect, their phone connects and everything's good to go, to now working from home. So we had some challenges, but from an industry perspective, we've done very well. And we actually, as a company, hired thousands of employees during the pandemic. So, the growth has continued and we're hoping to see that continue. So that has definitely been a major plus in our industry. So we we are continuing to find ways to support the population from a healthcare perspective. You guys probably saw that that the administration has opened up the marketplace again. So we're trying to provide healthcare to the members that need it. And so we're continuing to do everything we can from that perspective. So we'll see how, as the vaccines go, what the rest of the year looks like, but we're continuing to kind of manage that and hope to see the best and help where we can. So
I'll jump in. So as I said, while I was working at HJ, things have remained pretty normal for office life. But then starting my own business with Sophia Chapuis, the second part of Chap King, or I guess the first part of Chap King officially. She's in Denver and I'm in Chicago, and we got to figure out how we're going to effectively communicate, divvy up tasks, whatnot. So right now we're moving into using Trello to organize ourselves, which is a sort of like project management workspace, like Monday.com or something like that. So having that where you can push your items, your to-do list with priorities and like where they fit in and how they're progressing, I think is very helpful, just so it's something that you can check in. If the other person's busy, then you can check in on it. And then just like keeping that communication open, being honest about what's going on, fitting in as many phone calls, video calls as you can, is just all you can do. I personally like to make a lot of lists. I like to draw on boards. When I was at IBCC, I mean, it was like, let's write, let's draw. And I still love to do that. I have a million notebooks with my lists that I'm checking off. But moving it into a digital space is, I think, what's necessary when you start growing and working with teams, so that you can all be on the same page and then hit those communication points to clarify anything.
Yeah, and I do agree with Maddie there. So like when I worked at Art Couples Housing as the marketing director, the industry, like I mentioned, was affected because like those meetings that we had to have with clients were no longer in existence. And clients, somebody could not move in somebody in their home, or somebody could not move in with somebody without meeting them in person. So that it affected the industry. Team-wise, it was very interesting, and it's one of the stories that I tell it a lot, because I can't say most, yeah, I'll say most people in my at my job at the time, they were not as good with technology as I was. So the pandemic coming, it forced them to be a little bit flexible, which for me, as as a digital marketer who is always curious about technology, it was exciting to just walk them around, to walk them through and show them like the Zoom, like I had like to schedule Zoom meetings and stuff like that. And we started doing Zoom meetings. It was a challenge at first, but eventually like everybody was on board, and they found out that it was easier once, like you just remove that fear of, technology, because sometimes, people have that, which, I understand. So it changed the team in the way that they become adaptable to technology. Like I'm sure like most people have in this time, like you got no choice. If you want to keep your job, you might as well just learn.
Okay, so our next question is, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. So our next question is, how have you navigated the professional and emotion challenges?
So there's been quite a bit of that, obviously, for many people over the pandemic, especially having a baby, and then taking on a new position. It took its toll on me for sure, being in the house. So from a professional standpoint, it goes back to kind of what Maddie and Annie had said. So just continuing to have video chats and continue to keep that open line of communication with not only your teams, but also with your leadership teams as well. So, luckily, as the pandemic hit, I maintained a very good relationship with my previous leader who was promoted. So whenever we transitioned, I was still kind of in contact with him and was able to get an opportunity from him when one opened in the June timeframe. So I would say continue to do everything you can to maintain that contact, that social relationship with individuals, even if it's virtual, right? I mean, using Zoom, using FaceTime, using whatever technology you have to do that is critical. And then from a personal perspective, it's funny, we interviewed a candidate, and one of the challenges they're running into is that their office is now their bedroom, right? And so you never get to leave the office, and that can take its toll, right? So finding a way to separate your work from your home any way that you can, I think is extremely important. And so that's what, again, I'm fortunate enough to have a dedicated office here. So I can close the door, I can work, and then when the day is over, I can close the door, walk out to the house and spend time with my baby, spend time with my wife, and disconnect. And you guys have probably seen, the average worker that's working from home typically works more hours than they do in the office, and you don't have that time to disconnect or even reflect on a drive home or to or from work, right? I mean, it's a quick walk. So doing anything you can. I know that one of my team members, they clock out time to go take a walk, during lunch. Just keeping that physical activity, find a way to disconnect, and it's going to reflect in your work, right? I mean, the less stress, the more time you have to disconnect, the more refreshed you are when you come back to work. So that's something that I push my team to do in support. Because I know, right, they're putting time in after hours, they're working extra hours. So if they need to disconnect for a little bit longer during lunch, all those things I definitely accept. So those are kind of the ways that I've tried to adapt personally and professionally.
Timothy, I think there's a lot of value in what you were saying, that one of the challenges of working from home is separating that work and home life. And one of the things I do at my apartment in Chicago is like, I kind of pick a different workspace every day, or from hour to hour. Maybe I'm in my room, maybe I'm in the kitchen, maybe I'm on the couch. So I switch it up, I move it around, and I also build activities and routines that give me breaks, but not necessarily breaks that are like me searching social media. Not like I'm not doing that, but like helpful things like, okay, let's meditate, let's make a healthy snack, let's go for a walk, let's do yoga. So setting that up, I think, has helped to regulate, take care of emotional, mental, spiritual, even physical health, right? Which makes us better workers, more efficient workers in the long run. So I think starting the day with a bit of that and then incorporating it in, because like you said, like you are most likely working more at home than you would in the office. So go ahead and pencil in those times to take care of yourself. And then I wanted to speak on something else. So how did the pandemic affect like my professional career? So I guess I basically always had a thirst to really do my own thing, create something for the world, for myself, for my communities. And it was nerve-wracking that I had gotten a pretty good position working as a marketing specialist. It was kind of a tough decision to be like, all right, I trust myself, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this job so I can go full on in with starting this digital marketing firm. Even though I know we're in a pandemic, things are risky, it might be nice to hold on to this job. So that was definitely a lot to consider. But ultimately, my industry is actually thriving right now, I would say, because I think a lot of people have to turn to digital marketers to run their businesses effectively. So, kind of realizing that and then just like trusting in myself, putting in the work, setting up all of the goals and things that I need to do, get in line. I was able to move forward and do that. And ultimately, I'm glad I took the leap. It's starting to pay off. So that's my 2 cents on those topics.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it might feel like I would be repeating what Maddie just said, but I think that so in June, my visa expired, so I had to get a new different visa. So that for me, like, if there wasn't a pandemic, it would have happened faster. So I would say like professional wise, how the pandemic affected me is like it has prolonged my like the delay of getting my next work visa. So like I haven't worked at an office, at somebody's office since July. But the good thing that came out of it, it made me like reflect, look at life. And Tim and Maddie knows that I am a self-starter. I love, like helping people. So it helped me to have that room, be like, you know what, I'm already doing this. People call me, businesses call me. My former job, like I really helped them a lot, with, like web design, like social media. Why can't I just do this for myself? So that's what I started doing slowly. And I hope to launch in March. So like starting Frames Media, which, like right now I'm just like creating the clientele. It was a bad thing that I had to lose my job and my visa got delayed, but something good came out of that, that it forced me to get out of my comfort and be like, don't be scared. And you have always wanted to do this. You have been doing this since your undergrad. You might as well now, like do it big, like go big, go home. They say that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the exciting part. It's just that the fact that like up to now, like I was just talking to Tim and everybody else before people started logging in, was that I slept 30 minutes, literally 30 minutes last night because I had to deal with Malawi, because I had to get more paperwork to get my visa, because the new administration changed the rules and stuff like that. So now it's like it's for something that I could have gotten, because it's just a matter of like a stamp, but that in Malawi is not easy to get. It's taking 2 weeks. So it's like there's a pandemic there. So like everything is closing. So like it's just like delaying things professionally, because I can't get a job right now, even if I want to. So in that way, I'm not liking it. But emotional wise, I'm not gonna lie, the pandemic, I'm sure it has affected everybody. And you just have to be aware. I tell people, make time for things, like everybody says, because like you can sit on your desk. I have sat on my desk from 6 to 6, forgetting everything else, forgetting to eat, because like, and Maddie knows this, like especially when you're a digital marketer, you are in that creative mode. It's out. It's really hard to get out of it. So you just have to remember to make time for yourself, because at the end of the day, your job might go, your life might not come back. So making time for that, going for walks, call family and friends, just to check up on them and stuff like that. It helps you emotionally, because like once you're good emotionally, you're gonna be good professionally, because it has reflected in my job. I've seen that times where like even in school, like when you sometimes like like you push yourself too much, it reflects on your grades as well if you don't have that time to take a break to yourself. So it's been hard on a lot of people, but I would say like just to be aware and make time for yourself, and just like try to take breaks and give yourself a break, that it's hard right now.
Yeah, and I'll just one other thing too, to add on what Maddie and Annie said. I think, the theme too, right, is I get the pandemic. Everybody gets a little nervous, and the uncertainty kind of takes its toll. But it could be a good time to take a risk, right, that will have a big reward, right? As Maddie and Annie were saying, having that entrepreneurial mindset and taking a chance can really pay off, and that's. For example, too, right? That yes, I worked at Centene, but the team that I moved to was me. Like it was just me, and my manager said, "Here, go hire 2 people and build the team from scratch. You have a blank canvas to work from." And so that can be nerve-wracking, but taking that chance, the team is now tripled in size. We're continuing to grow, so it could be a good time to take a leap or a risk, and it could definitely give you a big reward. And the other thing too is that I understand, a lot of the individuals tuning in, are probably doing a lot of schoolwork as it is, but there's a lot of free time to continue your personal education or your professional education. And so over the holiday season, I took the time. I wasn't sleeping much, to your same, Annie, with the new baby. So I took the time to just continue to study at night, and was able to get a Microsoft certification in my free time, because you're not able to go out and do things like you normally are. So take advantage of the free time, without going too crazy, because I get there's a lot, but take advantage of that time to get yourself set up for when the pandemic starts to hopefully subside, and we start to see things go back to normal. You'll be set up for success, obviously, with hopefully a degree and maybe some additional certifications or trainings that can help get you set apart from the rest of the candidates that are going to be trying to go into the workforce. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, and also, like, just prepare yourself. Like, if now you're bored, use this time to get ready when this is over. So if you want to start a business, but you know that now it's not going to work, this is the time for business planning and strategically planning it. So, like, come up with your business plan, slowly, like, putting things in. Like, I have done so much than I can imagine that I'm ready whenever this thing is over to just go into it. Like, there's a lot of restrictions right now, but I'm know that it's not going to last forever. So once it's over, we're going to get back to normal and life is going to move on.
I agree with you, Annie. I mean, I think it's the law of nature, right? If you plant seeds and you nurture them, they will grow. Maybe not all of them, but some of them will grow. So what you put your time and your energy into will pay back to you. So I think it's important when we're considering like how we handle being professionally sound, emotionally sound, figure out like what activities keep us there and make sure that they're in the regular mix of what's going on. And then just one more comment I had about handling emotions right now with working with different clients. It's, I think you should always come to it on a human level. But I think especially since it's such a sensitive time, even more so. And I've noticed working with clients that, you leave room for them to feel and to go through things and for deadlines to move over here. And one of the best things is just check in and say, how are you today? Okay, it's a rough day. Take a breather, maybe do these light activities, be flexible. Have a bunch of things in mind that somebody can do that might be a little less like stressful on them emotionally or mentally, like less taxing, but really come from a human space, because then you get to know them better, their vision better, you build trust, and overall, I think it just makes business between you better.
Okay, so we do have a couple of questions under the Q&A. So let's just start with the first one. How is the hiring process different during the pandemic? How to differentiate yourself to the hiring managers?
I guess I'll say with the hiring process being different, it's all virtual. Obviously, that's the biggest difference. And so what we have found is that we get the interview set up, we do a virtual interview, and the onboarding process, if the candidate is chosen, is completely different as well, right? So normally in the past, it's, hey, let's get you into the office, let's get you a badge, let's find your desk and all this, great stuff. Here's some paperwork. And get them off the ground, where now it's completely virtual. So our HR departments have had to revamp the entire onboarding, training, new hire orientation process, which has taken some time. But it was difficult hiring thousands of employees and then doing that at the same time. But the funny part of it is that we've got that all under control. But now we're trying to figure out, well, how do we transition back to the office as we go back and get these employees that we've brought on board or hired that never got a badge or have been in a desk a spot. So it's kind of twofold, but it's definitely I think opened up an opportunity for a lot of new candidates, right? So when we post positions, it's across the United States. It's not just in a specific area, because that remote capability has opened that opportunity. So definitely a shift there, but then how do we shift back, or at least accommodate in office workers? So those are things that we're keeping in mind. And as far as differentiating yourself, I would just say come to the interview as if you would go into an interview in person, right? Phone off, dress to impress, did your research, do that one extra step that differentiates you, be it having some great questions ready. I know one thing that helped me that I learned from my mentor was everybody on the panel that I was going to interview with, I looked them up on LinkedIn, which is kind of our go-to now to figure out who people are from a professional perspective. Looked them up on LinkedIn, had it ready to go, and asked questions from their experience or their past work history, which really, I think, helped kind of set me apart whenever I interviewed, and may help you if you know who you're interviewing with. And then, again, being in a digital, workplace, still following up with an email, a thank you for the time. If you can get their email address, do that as well. So you just need to look for any and all ways to just add a little bit of extra pizzazz, I guess, to how you go into the interview and how you wrap up the interview and follow up to keep you differentiated from the rest of the candidates. So.
Agreed on everything you've just said, Timothy. So what I'm going to speak on is the hiring process that I was able to observe from working at HJ as their marketing specialist, which was basically that instead of going to like career conferences and like getting out there in person, like we had to create content for online conferences. So, basically I am creating flyers that are really going to speak to a specific audience. It's really gonna, get their eyes open and pull them in. So messaging, content, the whole bit, and then also as much video content as you can get in there. Luckily at HJ, we had some beautiful videos made that really show off what we do, the wonderful work that we do to enable the grid around the world, not just in the United States. And so that's really exciting, having that video content. And then also keeping that social media running, because we know that people are going to check social media, especially young professionals are going to check social media. And I guess it'll differ depending on the age, if you're on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. So having it everywhere, being consistent, pushing it out, mixing it up, something for everybody. So that was like the perspective, like as an employer, essentially. And then as far as like getting hired as a marketing specialist right now, again, it's really putting it out there, trying to get in the minds of your ideal clientele and think, okay, what would they want to know about the business, about us, about our services? How can we provide all of that it's easy, it's intuitive to find, and then quickly, quickly and easily, like, all right, you're interested, you just fill out this little form and we're good to go. Or DM us, whatever works for you. Just put yourself out there, keep it consistent, mixing it up, be engaging. That's my advice for hiring. And then as far as for getting hired, I think you hit like most of the points of do your homework, like show up with something to say, have questions, seem interested, be open, be flexible. Executives, you might come in to interview for something, an executive, as an executive, knows people and their soft skills or their hard skills, and maybe they think that you could do something else, and put a little trust in that, reflect if you would be interested on it, but remain flexible, because our careers are malleable and we're not stuck here or there. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but be open to what's going on, and put yourself out there, be authentic, so that you're not saying like, this is my skill set, this is what I want to do, if it's not exactly like your thing, because what's the point of that? So be authentic, ask questions. That's what I got for y'all.
Yeah, I've had different experiences compared to them, because when I got the job at Campus Housing, they contacted me. They were looking for a star student, and I was a star student. Not to touch my own horn, but yeah. But so since then, like, because I was a TA, I was teaching digital marketing at AMSO, and they were looking for a student who works with Drake. And I was looking for an internship anyway. So I started as an intern at Old Campus Housing. So for me, when I showed up, but I didn't know. So when I showed up at the interview, I was prepared. I had my questions written down. And like, because that's like everybody says, like, you have to do your homework. I did their homework. Like, when as a digital marketer, I looked up their website, I looked up their social, and find out the things that I can bring to the table. And trust me, at that time, it was a lot. So not now. So like, I knew there were things that I could do to make them better. So like, when I went, talked to them, I met with them in Clayton, they were like sold out, and they gave me the job immediately. So like, when you prepare yourself and you show up prepared, and you show them that they need you, need them, it helps, because obviously, like, they're hiring you because they need that skill set that you're bringing to the table. So you can't say, like, sometimes I've had questions like, but I've taken a class, I've never actually done it. I would say, go for it and learn while doing it. Yeah, because like, there's no way you're gonna go in a job knowing every single thing. No. And most of the companies, they're gonna help you learn. They're gonna even pay for courses. Like, when I was doing my MBA at AMSO, I had so many professionals that were coming from their jobs, because their jobs sent them to learn social media marketing, to learn email marketing, because like, every job has so many different skill sets that there's no way that you're gonna learn everything in school. So don't be intimidated when they have listed like 100 things that they're looking for, and they're like, oh my God, I don't, because they can feel that. So show up confident and learn a little bit about that thing, and tell them that you are familiar with that thing. Even if you're not an expert, you're familiar with that thing, so that when you come in, because they're gonna train you anyway, you can just go on board and learn about it and do a job that way. Like now with the pandemic, there's a thing that we do in college, that we skim through things. With the pandemic, since you don't go to an office for an interview or for things, I would say read through things and really understand things. Because you can't skim through things and show up an interview and say that I'm gonna bullshit this thing. It's not gonna work for you. So like, read through things and really understand what they're looking for, so that you know what you're talking about, because it's gonna be all virtual. And get familiar with the technology, whatever technology they're using, whatever position, like, they're offering. That way it's gonna help you to look like you're an expert. That's my 2 cents on that.
Okay.
And
So
real quick, you add on to, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Timothy.
I was to add on to Annie's point real quick too, right, around being prepared. Again, looking at the time that you have, polish that resume, get feedback, right? You have time right now. Ask your, family, friends.
Use
I know
Lisa.
I have a lot of
She's
resources.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Resources that, at UMSL, I mean, you get that resume spot on. And, like Annie was saying, look at the job description and, make sure that with everything being parsed online before you get through the system, having some keywords that, align with your skills, that align with the job description, help your resume hit those check marks on the back end to get you through the process. So I'm not saying, lie or, put false information, but if, you have a keyword that's different than what's online, but they're the same thing, switch that on your resume so that it, it matches up and you have a better chance with that. And then in the interview process, again, like Annie was saying, if you don't know the answer, walk them through how you would get it, right? Or use your experience in school, or use your experience at previous work places on how you would solve the problem if you don't have that perfect answer. So, you know, being genuine, like Maddie was saying, and just walking through how you would either solve it, or using your experience, or, you know, what process you would go through in your brain, you know, in your mind to get to a solution is just as good as having the answer. And employers will see that and use that, and you'll stand out a little bit from that as well. So just want to add that.
I've got one more little bit, and I think this is really important, is that you want to be friendly. You want to be charismatic. People want to hire people that they want to be around, right? So somebody that, you know, is positive, uplifting, maybe can joke a little. Go ahead and put your personality in there, because you want to know if you click with them, and they want to know if they click with you. Because I mean, ultimately, if you get into a work situation and there's not this sort of chemistry going on, it will wear on you. Even if you think that this is the ideal job with the ideal salary, it will wear on you. So again, remain genuine and authentic. Go ahead and let your personality shine through a little bit, so that you can both see if it's working. That's what I got for y'all.
Thank you. I totally agree with all of you with this. So our next question is, I think it's specifically for Timothy, since it's about Centene. So most of the listing at the Centene's website are for positions are for interns or the higher level positions. How are your companies handling recent graduates or mildly experienced talent being hired?
So I will say, I guess it really depends on what roles you're looking for, right? An internship is obviously not a bad thing. It gets your foot in the door. Depends, I guess, on, you know, where you're at in your career. But the thing is again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying on the application, your resume, things of that nature, right? So experience is experience, right? Like it doesn't matter how experienced you are, right? Yes, the more you have, the better. But using what you have to your advantage is going to, you know, get your foot in the door, and then you need to shine in the interview process. So we, you know, for example, we're looking for many roles that I would consider semi entry level. But it's, you know, as far as the graduate piece, it's another a thing that stands out on your resume, right? So we are by no means requiring it, but having it is definitely a bonus. And, you know, obviously you're here at UMSL doing that. So finish that and put it on the resume and say that you were done. But the other thing that I would say to offset that, depending on the industry, right? So like I'm in technology. There are other avenues outside of experience in, you know, a degree that will help, right? Certifications that are specific to technology or specific to your, you know, your industry or your role will help offset some of that, you know, experience or degree that you're still working on. So be open, apply. It doesn't hurt to apply. Obviously, only apply if you're genuinely interested. But, you know, if you don't put yourself out there, you don't put your application in, you don't, you know, do your homework, you will never get the role, right? If you don't apply. So look at it, see what's out there, look at other avenues that will offset some of that experience piece, and you'll find something for sure.
So our next question is, so for the undergraduate seniors, is this a good time to join the graduate school?
You know, as somebody who came from graduate straight to do my master's, it didn't hurt. Mm-hmm. But if you have a chance, I'm not gonna lie, to go and work and come back to school, I'll say take that, in my opinion. Because like one thing that I like, and I'm an international student, so like sometimes like the way I make decisions, it's gonna apply more to international students. So if you're an international student, you cannot, and now it's hard to get that job, that internship, go to grad school. You are not wasting your time. You are using your time variable because you never know what's going to happen in 2 years. You're going to come out in 2 years, with a master's degree, which is going to put you high up. While, like stressing and, and dealing with the emotional experience of trying to find a job, because like it's not a lot of people out there that are hiring OPT students. So I would say if this is specific for international students, if you see that, like I did tell this to a lot of students and it worked for them, it worked for me. So like go ahead and do your master's degree, and you're gonna even have higher chances of getting a better job, because I graduated with my master's and I was the director of marketing. So I don't think that was a bad deal for me. It worked perfectly. Okay, and I've seen my friends that did the same thing, how it worked perfectly for them. But if you have a chance of working and exploring and having that work experience, because that's one thing that I feel like I liked compared to some of the students who were actually working in corporate offices, because they had that work experience that I don't think I had in grad school. In grad school, sometimes it helps to have that work experience, and that's my opinion.
Am I good to go? I agree with Annie. I think it's very personal to you and what's best for you. One of the challenges for international students would be getting like a working visa to actually stay and have that gap. So it might just be that, yeah, like for your situation, the best thing is to go right into grad school and get it done. But for me personally, I kind of really wanted to do it because I fell in love with academia in undergrad. Like I just love to learn. I feel empowered by it. It's exciting for me. And I like how it keeps me busy, the communities it opens me up to. However, I also heard from people at my work when I worked at HJ, it is a good idea to get some work experience. And now I feel like, yeah, like let me learn in my own sort of way. And then I really would like to go get a master's later on to kind of clarify things that maybe I didn't gain on my own. And the programs that I'm looking at anyways are more focused for experienced professionals that are in their late 20s. So honestly, like I wouldn't even be an ideal candidate for these master programs until I'm older and have some work experience. So that's what I want to do. Again, it's very personal to what you do, your major, what different jobs, careers in your field are requiring. But listen to yourself, really take some time to reflect, because even if you take one semester off, 1 year off, whatever, like it's okay. Like at least allow yourself to breathe. I think you realize that you're a lot stronger and more rejuvenated when you give some space to breathe, and you may be better equipped to handle the difficult course load as well. So just take in what's best for you and proceed forward.
Yeah, and I would agree with both of you guys too, right? It depends on the personal situation. I mean, if you're in a situation where maybe take a few classes and start that while you're doing your professional career, absolutely do so. I would say if you can, what's helped me a lot too in making my decisions, and I mentioned it earlier, is a mentor, right? A mentor that has that experience, a mentor that's been there, that's got their degree. Find that if you haven't already, start to think, in your close circle of who could be a good mentor. If it's at UMSL or, a friend or a colleague, and get their advice, bounce it off them, say, hey, this is my situation, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm looking to do, and see what they have to say, right? Like Maddie said, trust in yourself, but, look outside to get a second opinion too, because it may make sense for you to do it now. It may make sense for you to do it in a few years after you get some work experience. I absolutely agree, right? I graduated high school. I took time to go work and then went back to college and then graduated in December of 2018. So to me, school was much easier looking back at the 7.5 years of work experience I had, because I could be like, oh, I did that, or I remember this. And so papers just kind of, flew. And so it just, again, goes back to where you're at. I would definitely look at trying to find a mentor or, partner with them to help make that decision.
Yeah. And I'm just going to add also like one thing to that is like also know who you are, because there are people who are, if you don't go back now, you're never going to come back. So if you're like that, I would say go ahead and do your master's now. But if you are like, somebody like Tim who is self-disciplined, you know that you can do this no matter how many years it will pass. You might as well just try to explore the other options. So just know who you are. Like, am I gonna be, once I start working, am I gonna be able to come back? If because I have friends who, like who know that once they left school, they cannot come back. So they just went ahead and do it all, and it worked perfectly for them. So like knowing that will help you to make that decision too.
I agree with Annie, and I would say 100% yes. Also, allow yourself to shift and grow and change, which is kind of the perspective if you take some time off to do a master's, is during that time, you might discover that you're actually really interested in a different kind of profession or developing a different skill set. And so if you just go right into doing the master's and then find out later that maybe like this isn't really what you want to do, because I was speaking with somebody recently, they did marketing and they ended up going back to school after working professionally to do nursing. So listen to yourself. If you know what you want to do and you know that you got to keep that momentum up, like Annie was saying, then do that. If you have the opportunity to work for a second and kind of discover your capabilities, your skill sets, your passions, then also allow yourself to do that. I think Americans have this like perspective of like, you finish high school and like you run through college in 4 years and then you do graduate school, blah, blah. When I studied abroad in Europe, like I was actually with kids of, not even kids, with people of different ages. And I was shocked. I was like, oh, you worked for a few years and then went into college? Like, that's nice. I was like, there's so much pressure in the United States. I started a little bit later, and then I really took my time going through school. I worked while going through school, and it really just allowed me to be more mature, really be passionate about what I was studying, and put in that time, work, and energy to get the most out of it, instead of kind of having a traditional college experience where, you're trying to balance like having a fun social life and discovering your passion and putting that work in and getting work experience. It's a lot. So allow yourself time and patience to develop, because in the long run, it'll pay off, as opposed to rushing through, ending up in a field that you don't really want to be in. So that's what I got to wrap up this question.
Since we're at it, so I just have a quick question. So let's say if the student, they continued their master's, and then sometimes they also face the situation where they apply for the position and they got rejected for overqualified. But if they apply for the higher positions, they don't have enough experience. So what's your opinion on this?
So the overqualified piece, I would definitely try to get feedback on, where that was. I know that's definitely a thing, but I would say that you need to match kind of what your expertise are. So if you're getting that overqualified, the role, there's probably something within the role that didn't meet the expectation of the hiring manager. So either trying to get that feedback or reflect on what could have caused that, right? And then if you're going, the other route, right, you're going to the next level and thinking that, then again, the degree isn't everything, as we've mentioned, right? It's a mix of a degree, experience, certifications, how you present yourself, what your resume looks like. There's a lot of pieces that go into the hiring process. And so reflecting on where you may have missed or where you can hone in and improve. And again, it goes back to partnering with those that are in similar roles, friends, family, mentors, and helping find that information. Because I know, again, so when I was doing mine, I thought my resume was spot on. Like, I had my degree, I was feeling good, and I showed it to my mentor, and my mentor was like, whoa, we need to rethink this resume. Like, let's adjust this. And then they hit me with questions, that they would expect in the interview process. And I thought I had my, answer spot on again. And they're like, whoa, we need to think about how you answer this. And so there's always opportunity to improve, but you've got to get somebody else's perspective, right? Nothing wrong with, being confident in yourself and thinking, that you're ready and you have everything that's needed. All your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, but it's all up to perspective, right? So I always look back. You can write an English paper 100 times, and there's always going to be, depending on who's reading it, a critique or a change. And so, again, it goes back to that perspective or that perception. So having more individuals in similar roles to what you're applying for, look at what you're presenting, look at what you have, will help you hone in on how you present yourself to get that, hopefully the higher level one, right? Like if you're have your master's and your eyes set on that higher level role, you should, don't settle by any means. And, for the lower role, if you think you're ready for the higher position, but with a little bit of extra homework, some partnership and preparation, you should be able to make it happen. Or again, that person may say, hey, you're shooting a little too far. Let's look at something else, and then get your foot in the door. Again, speaking from experience, whenever I graduated, I was in an IT manager role. I was looking for another manager role, and larger companies, even directors, thinking I was ready to go. And speaking, with the mentor and self-reflecting, I took what I considered a lower role, which in the long run wasn't, to get my foot in the door, and then a year later back into a manager role at a Fortune 50 company versus a small private company. So that it doesn't hurt to get your foot in the door. Again, just looking at that job description, and don't get so focused on the title either. I know that Maddie was kind of talking about, like, we have this perception of like going to graduate school or going to college right away. We have a really bad perception around titles as well. And so title's not everything. The title is just something that, that you put on your email signature. It's the work that you do in that role that's important. And so looking at detailed descriptions of what you're going to be doing day to day, I think is absolutely important, and put the role aside. And so obviously salary, is another big piece of that. Don't forget that. You got to get paid, but look at what the role responsibilities are versus the title.
Sure. Thank you. So let's move on to our next questions. So it's how did your degree help you with your career now, or the industry that you are in?
I'm gonna go ahead and start that one off. So my degree is international business and French. Interesting enough, I actually hardly did any marketing in college. So it was IBCC that brought me into that field. So my involvement with the university, and then I just kind of actually naturally went into doing marketing activities. I really love curation, aesthetics, getting into people's minds, writing, the creativity of graphic design, all of these sorts of things. So that's kind of what I fell into. So I would say it's really important in college, not just to do the degree, but to do a lot of other things that come with the college experience. There are so many opportunities, especially at UMSL, to get this kind of experience that employers really want, because you can hear it. They want you to describe your experience, and through that, they can hear what you're capable of doing. Like, oh, you led a team and you had a whole marketing plan. Wow, okay, like you're putting what you've learned, all of your life experiences together. So that shows not only like my skills, but that I'm a doer. So, I mean, my degrees definitely helped for me. I studied what I studied because I love culture. And I think that goes into people. So understanding different people around the world. I did 4 study abroad programs. I'm really lucky I was able to work through college and get scholarships and financial aid and everything to make it work. But actually like studying cultural in a classroom full of kids from around the world was incredible. Like they were saying this, and then I would go have a conversation with somebody from Vietnam or from Poland or from Argentina, and like I really got it. So make your education as applicable as possible. Get involved, show up, go to tutoring, just put yourself into it, because the degree is one thing, but I mean, there's a difference between the student who just like goes through, gets the degree, whatever, and a student who is really into their college experience, and it shows. Employers know this, they can feel this, they can hear it in how you're speaking to them. So yes, like my degrees definitely helped me, but it wasn't necessarily what exactly I studied, but kind of how I took the opportunity in university.
Go ahead, Tim, or me.
You go ahead if you want. Okay.
So I studying international business for my undergrad and marketing, then coming to do my MBA in, and doing a digital marketing. It has helped me a lot. Like currently I'm working with like a lot of entrepreneurs. Like I'm redesigning. I'm 2 websites right now. I'm designing a website from scratch right now, just from what I learned from school, from what I learned from AMSO. And I didn't sit in class for a whole semester to learn digital marketing, but it introduced me to that. Then I went outside to learn more about it and self-taught myself. So like Mari said, like what you learn in school, you need to also start applying it outside. Having an international business experience, you take a lot of classes, and I don't know what classes you guys took, but I took classes like, business in China, business in Japan. Those were just classes, but they were more than classes for me, because like it helped me to work with international students when I had a job as an international student leader at AMSO. And at my job as the marketing director, a lot of our clients were international students, because, if you're an international student, you know that, like housing can be expensive in America. So like they saw the opportunity that the company I was working for was providing. So like it was easy for me to communicate with international students, because I know how to communicate with them through some of the classes that I took from my job experience as an international student leader. So like I can say that my degree has helped me more than I can. Like I have worked with a lot of brands doing their social media digital marketing strategy, which like I'm really proud, and I've seen results, because like I believe in seeing results. So like seeing that, oh my God, when I took them, they were not selling a lot, now they're making this much money. It's empowering to say that, like coming in odd couples where, like they didn't have any social media presence, and creating their social media presence and their PR bars, and, like to see them in media, in newspapers, like Post Dispatch and all that, and seeing them, like redesigning the website from, like what we had, which was like the most unresponsive website they had, for me to redesign a new website for the company, working with the IT team was one of the things that I think the skills that I gained from school. And, like, because some classes that I took introduced me, like, like I had like a one day weekend class in email marketing. You cannot learn everything in that day, but at least it gave me knowledge to go back and be like, let me learn more about email marketing. So now when I have clients, I'm like, oh, you know, you could save so much time by using hotspot, and I'm teaching them how to do things like that. That's just an example. So like your degree is going to help you, sometimes not directly as Maddie said, but most of the time it's because of the skills you pick up as you go while doing your degree.
Yep, and I echo both of what you guys just said. You know, I had my degree, double majored in business administration and then international business. And while Centene is international, we do have hospitals in Europe. We don't deal a lot with it. They're pretty separate from kind of the U.S. based health plans that we have. So you know, I guess on the plus side, if you know, I got asked to go there, I would feel comfortable, right? But I think internally, as you guys mentioned, you know, that cultural intelligence, you're going to work in, you know, an environment that has a diverse workforce, especially today, and having that understanding of kind of those different cultures and how to adapt and, you know, how to be respectful and connect, I think has been one of the biggest things from my international business degree. And, you know, I remember being in the office and there was always a group of individuals that were, you know, every day during, I think it was right before lunch, you know, there was a big group of developers that would hang out in the break room and just talk the whole time. And I'd always feel nervous walking through because I didn't want to like get, you know, get in their way while they're having their discussion. But being able to open up and start talking to them, figuring out, you know, where they work, it gives you that confidence, I think, rather than being nervous to explore and you know, ask questions from, you know, international colleagues. So I definitely reflect on that. The other thing I look back to is all the hard work you put in over a 4-year degree, or if you know, go longer for a graduate, it's going to happen in your professional career too. I have been up till 1 a.m., you know, working on a project or filling out, you know, something that's needed by 8 a.m. the next day. And it brings back memories of prepping for a test or exam, or, you know, trying to do a full packet for Emily's class. You know, that, you know, it takes a lot of time. And I look back, and without that experience and finding my mental strength to push through and just, you know, get it done, I think my degree and going to college really helped with that. And it helps me in my, you know, the work that I do at Centene. So.
Timothy, yes, yes, yes. I think the work ethic that you build in college is setting you up. I was lost, like with how to study. I like actually was not confident in myself as a student. And something I started to do is I would have an 11 a.m. class. I would get to campus at 9 a.m. every day. And I had 2 hours of working. So 2 times 5 over the week, 10 hours. And it set up basically like all of the work that I needed to do. But it also just really set me up for, how do I run things as an entrepreneur? You have to set up that time for when you're working, because it's not going to set it up for you. You can't just be like, oh, I'll do it later. When is later? So I think that work ethic part of the degree is really important. And then I wanted to throw something else in. So when I worked at HJ, luckily, like we really were such like a globalized company, and I got to work with a lot of Colombians and people in Europe as well, India, kind of all around. And I could tell that because I was open and had this like cultural dexterity to me, they kind of took me in a bit more. They were a bit more comfortable with me to open up. So a lot of times, like I would have interviews or communications or whatever, and I think things just went smoother because of this. I think, honestly, I think it's just an awareness that you get out of your IB degree, that people are different and have different perspectives and worldviews with how they move through the world. And so just taking that in, I mean, it won't just help you with working with people from around the world, but people in the United States as well, because we have all of these different regions and whatnot. So that's the last I got on that question.
So we have another question. Do you have any advice for soon-to-be graduates looking for internship or entry-level jobs during the pandemic?
I guess I can, I'll start us off on that one. So again, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, right? Taking a risk right now, I think it may seem crazy, but could definitely pay off. So getting prepared, doing all the things that we've kind of discussed, and doing your research, right? Looking at what opportunities, not just, in one spot, right? I know there's a lot of hiring websites, even LinkedIn's a big spot now. You have Indeed, Glassdoor. There's a lot of places to look for roles, and I know companies are trying to post it everywhere they can. And so look and look and look, and you're going to find something. There's plenty of jobs that are out there. I keep seeing on the news that that we're not able to fill all the the jobs that have been open. So they're there. You just obviously need to look and find the one that fits your your skill set, your experience, and what you're passionate about, right? Like Maddie was saying, you need to be have that personal touch, buy into what the company's doing, and understand what the role is asking for, and go in every day excited to do the work you do, but also the people you work with. So doing your research on the companies, I commend the person that was already looking at Centene's website around the roles, right? Like stuff like that is what you need to do, right? Do some research, figure out who is Centene. Like, I don't know what they are. Okay, now I know. Let me see what roles are out there. So that initiative, I think, will definitely pay dividends. Just take this time to get yourself prepared, get yourself ready, and take maybe a leap of faith and some risk, even if it's a role that's at a large corporation, if it's a small private company, if it's what Annie and Maddie are doing around being a self-entrepreneur, starting up, or getting prepared for a business. There's options out there. Leverage the individuals around you at UMSL, your friends, family. There's a wealth of information that surrounds you. I know. I think it was one of the things that I was tasked to was like a test, right? Is to go talk to some neighbors and find out what your neighbors do. I know right now with the pandemic, it's a little difficult to keep your social distance, but you may find that some of your neighbors are close by. Individuals that live by you can be a great resource too, right? So. Quite a few of the individuals in our neighborhood I've connected with, and I talk to all the time and partner with on different things now. So yeah, that's kind of my recommendation.
Agreed with you, Timothy. It's important to be intentional and also make it known that you are looking for employment and this is what you're interested in. I believe it just opens you up to more opportunities. I know there's the saying of it's not like what you can do, but who you know. And this is really true. Whether it's fair or not, it's really true. So if you can forge relationships and then use those relationships to be open to more opportunities, people just like to hire other people that they like of somebody else that they trust. You know what I mean? It's just natural. So leverage the relationships, the connections you have. Know that networking really is important and it doesn't have to be this like weird showy thing. I never thought of myself as a networker. Like I just kind of feel sometimes awkward, but then some people would be like, what do you mean, Maddie? Like you are so sociable and talk to people. So it's kind of a natural thing. I guess for me, but if it's not, make sure that you do figure out a way to do it, whether it's people at school, at job, anywhere that you can, and just really make it out there and get feedback on what you should be doing to prepare what people are looking for. As much as you're putting out and getting back, you can fuse this all into the job search process. So that's what I would say on searching for work at this time.
As an international student, this probably will or might apply to some of the international students. Don't be picky. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not an easy industry for us right out there. So like, don't be picky. Apply as much as you can. Obviously, look at at the job descriptions, but and see that you qualify for them, or that it fits what you're looking for. But I've seen people who applied for internships even after graduating just to get in the door. So like if you're looking, I would say like if that's the way you're gonna get in, do it that way, because otherwise you end up like having 1 month when your OPT grace period is about to expire and you don't know what to do. So like apply as much as you can. Like they say, networking is very important. And as a master of networking, it doesn't always have to, you don't have to be that social. Find something that somebody's interested in. People like to talk about themselves. That's one trick that I have for everybody. People love to talk about themselves. So if you know that John from Mastercroft is going to be at this event, or this is the person that I'm going to be talking to, look them up on LinkedIn. You're going to find something about that and try to find a conversation around that. And, you know, like people remember you for that, you know, like have something that people are going to remember you for it too. So make sure you polish your resume. AMSO, one thing I liked about my AMSO is that they have good resources. So like there's, I don't know if she's still there at the career service, Lynn, with business school students. She is very helpful. She's the one who polished my resume. Then Lisa looked at it when I was doing my master's. And Lisa also is a good resource for looking for jobs. When you're looking for jobs, just make sure that, you know, she knows your name. She knows exactly what you're looking for. If something comes around, trust me, she still emails me even if I graduated like a year ago. So like if something comes around and she knows that you qualify for it, she's gonna contact you. Reach out to, you know, like professors, reach out, you know, like to as many people as you can that, you know, that have connection to certain companies that you're applying for, so that maybe, you know, like they can give you also like tips on, you know, like what to expect, because every company is different and people are looking for different things. So like that networking, even if now we are in this, you know, pandemic and, you know, like no contact zone, it still exists in a different form. So make sure that you do your research as much as you can.
And one other quick thing too, you know, that I'll call out, right, is that as you're preparing to, I know in the past, like you're getting ready, you're doing all these things. A new thing with the virtual environment that I've noticed too is get your virtual space set up to intrigue conversation, right? So, you know, for example, Annie here, right? I see the Cardinals, you know, that's a good talking conversation. And, you know, Maddie, you know, you have David Bowie, like look. And then myself, I have a picture of Dubai, right? These are all things that you can key off of to help conversation flow, and then also show your personality, your experience in a visual manner, right? And so look at how you're presenting yourself in a virtual environment now. It's not just, you know, hey, you know, am I dressed to impress? Do I got everything ready to go? It's what's the background of my environment look like? What is it showing about me? And what can I have, what can I improve or, you know, have added there? So I just wanted to kind of call that out too.
Thank you guys.
Agreed.
And thank you, Annie, for, oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just agreeing. Verbally agreed.
Thanks, Annie, for answering our next question as well for the internet, specifically for the international student looking for a job in today's market. So due to the time crunch, I am going to add one last question. So when you were in the hiring process, did being involved in the activities at UMSL, did that impress your employer and help to get a job?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. 100%. That's why I got the job. I actually was approached by one of our executive panelists, David Stockton. So what had happened is I studied abroad in Paris in fall of 2018. I was surrounded by all of these kids from all over the world, and I was hearing about all of these internships and professional opportunities that they were doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get it together. Like I need to like beef it up for my resume and my skill set. And so I came home and immediately like was like, how do I get involved? And I found the IBCC crew and I was like, whatever you need, like I will be involved. I will help this career conference happen. And I did. And on the day of the conference, our lovely Emily Lane pulled me aside and was like, hey, Maddie, go grab David and do a interview with him. And it was an impromptu interview. I was like, okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go write up some questions and I'll just go grab him and do this. And I did. And I guess maybe it left a decent enough impression on him that I was a go-getter. And 7 months, 6-7 months down the line in the fall semester, I got included in an email thread, and basically David was looking for me to talk to me about career opportunities at HJ. It was so humbling because he was like, I'm looking for somebody to really kind of be like my right hand with marketing, and I was impressed by you. And so that was my in. I was approached. I was in the most like ideal situation for getting hiring, I would say. And it was because he saw that I was involved, not just like with what I was studying or whatever, but like how I was showing up in my education and getting involved and going the extra mile. So 100%, like the extra oomph you give in college is seen and taken into account. It's actually, I feel like, what employers are trying to glean from you. So get involved, get involved, get involved.
Yeah, and for international students, like getting involved is one way that's gonna help boost your resume, because like you're not allowed to work off campus. You're not allowed to do this. So like having those or taking advantage of those opportunities will give you the skill set. One example for me, like in 2016, when I did IBCC, I was not a marketing major by then. In 2015, I was not a marketing major by then. I joined IBCC and Betty Vining was like, Annie, you're gonna be in charge of our website and social media. And I was like, are you joking? I don't do those things. I don't. And I'm like this girl who came from Africa who never touched a computer until like 3 years before I came to AMSO. So like even my typing skills are not good at that time. And I'm like, is she trying to set me up for failure? I was really mad. You can ask her, like that conversation, I'm never gonna forget. But she didn't change her mind. She was like, I know you're creative. And honestly, for the first time somebody called me creative, I was really surprised because I never saw myself as creative. I was like, me creative? She was like, yeah, you are creative, so you're gonna be in charge of those things. I thought she hated me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought that of all the group, the people, she hated me. Then I went on, started doing my research. I took my social media 101 class. And you know what? I fell in love with Perry Drake's classes. I changed my major. So like things sometimes just happen like that. And now like, I mean, I'm not like an expert, but I think I'm very good with digital marketing. So like sometimes just taking advantages of that and not being scared that because I could have said, no, I've never done like this. I'm out, I'm done. Because it was like our first day of IBCC. I could have said that, but no, I took advantage of that. I worked with Alex. We redesigned IBCC website, which was amazing. And, like, I didn't know I was a social media. At that time, on even my Facebook, I had like 200 friends. Like I was not even that girl, but it helped me to like understand and go do research and read about it and come back. And, like, how are we going to communicate? We communicated, and even students came from California, Texas, Boston, just because, like they headed through our all channels of communication that we're doing. So go out there and grab those opportunities. Don't say no just because you don't know how to do it. Say yes, learn how to do it later, because this is school, you're supposed to be learning. So if you say no, when are you gonna learn it?
And this is the safe space to do it. I'm so sorry. I was just saying it's a safe space to do it in college is, like when you're a student, they know that like you're growing your skill set.
You can make mistakes.
Yes, exactly. And you have your faculty advisors and you have the professors, and it's okay to stumble, and they're here to guide you. So do it now. Sorry, Timothy, go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, agreed. And I was, I'll just add that all the additional activities, even if, to what you guys said, even small, show that not only are you juggling trying to get a degree, but you're adding in additional activities while you're doing it, it shows a lot, right? Like employers understand getting your degree is a lot of work, and then being able to call out, on my resume and even on my LinkedIn, right? I have the IBCC whenever I did it on there, and I referenced that to show, hey, it was funny when I first started at Centene, my first day, it was like a Centene career conference almost. It felt like, all the things that I was watching them set up, the check-in table, getting all the stuff queued up, all the panelists ready to go. And it was for, a conference that they had been planning before I started, but I'm sitting here going, man, I could have been very helpful with this if you guys hired me a few weeks earlier,
Exactly.
because it was something I had experience with. So I thought it was funny, but all those little things, even, I put on there the International Business Club president, right? Anything that you can do to show your skills and how you're going above and beyond in school reflects in what you're going to do in your career and your job, right? So, hey, he went and got his degree, he did these other things that he's calling out. Hey, if I hire him, he's probably going to do his job and then a little bit more, and that's what the employers are looking for. So, anything and everything that you think is valuable that you can speak to and tie back to how it helps your work ethic and how you're going to, be successful in the role, do it, sign up for it. Like Maddie and Annie are saying, it even small, it adds up in the end and can, goes back to some of the questions we asked. How do I differentiate myself, right? You having those few extra activities could differentiate somebody that just has the basic degree, right? Not to mention, if you have a high GPA, it's like, wow, okay, you have a high GPA, you got your degree and you're doing all this stuff, like you're really putting in the time, you're putting in the hours, and that's what an employer is looking for.
And I would say that I was never a better student than when I was extremely busy because I didn't have time to think about not doing work because I just had to do it from go to go to go to go. And also, like, for IBCC specifically, like, it was really wonderful because most of us are IB students, right? So we're going to have a lot of the same classes and we help each other and we guide each other. And that, like, the emotional support, the study support, like, it means a lot. You're in this together. So fantastic for the work ethic. Never been a better student than when my schedule is stacked like this. And then just one more comment on, like, my experience with doing IBCC. It basically built my entire skill set that I have right now. I discovered doing social media, event photography. I just had a gig this past weekend. I get paid to do that. I get paid to do social media. Project management was wonderful for learning how to be a leader and manage a team and collaborate. So all of these things just were born out of one day of me being like, I'm going to show up and just do whatever I can, and then it'll grow. So trust the process, take one step forward, and then your path is just going to light on up. So there we go.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, and it's going to help you make decisions too. Like, be a good decision maker. Like, I don't think I could have been able to hire the people that I have hired throughout, when I was a marketing director, because I had to hire people, or let go of people, like, I don't think I was going to be able to make the right decisions if I wasn't involved, because, like, we made a lot of decisions during IBCC. Like, there were some of the decisions, like, who are we going to put as this keynote speaker? Who are we going to put as this? Where are we going to find food? Because you start everything from scratch. And those simple decisions and teamwork, which, like, whether you're an individual person, you need teamwork. Like, you're going to work with people. So, like, you learn how to work with difficult people. You learn how to navigate them, because there's no way you're going to work with everybody you like, but you learn how to work with those people that, like, how to work with international people, how to work with American people, because, like, like, everybody has their own way. So, but it helps you to get less frustrated because you know how to deal with them, because you have gained those skills at the beginning.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Maddie, for taking this time from your busy schedule and to share your experiences here with us. Thank you everyone for joining this event. I'm really thankful to all of you, and I can actually relate many of the situation with what you shared. So I'm really thankful for that. It was very informational, this whole webinar. And thank you to all our attendees worldwide for joining us. So our next event is the Executive Panel webinar. It's on February 19th. It's about the doing business in the post-pandemic world. So I hope to see you everybody on the February 19th. So everybody have a good rest of your day, and thank you again for joining us.
You too. Thank